This is a review of the 2014 Killer Party, not the 1986 Killer Party. This I got in a Horrorpack exclusive. If you don't know what Horrorpack is, go over to horrorpack.com, check it out. You get 4 movies randomly each month for a certain price. I've enjoyed it so far. I've had it for 2 months. I have the third one coming here soon. I'll be opening that up on the channel here in a couple days when it gets here. This is a horror comedy. It's definitely very low budget, and it is about a group of, basically a couple goes to a party with a group of actors and agents and writers, and so they get there and a zombie outbreak is happening. Now, before you are like, oh my god, more zombies, these aren't typical zombies by any means. And that's going to be in the highlights of my film. So that's really the plot. I mean, they're holed up in the house. It's pretty much a central location film. It all takes place in the house. There's a couple moments where they go across the street or like before, but 98% of the movie does take place in the house. Now, I really liked the way this movie opened. It had character intros with text on the screen telling you who they were, their life story kind of stuff. Reminds me of something like the movie Feast. So, and plenty of other movies have done that, but that's just the first one that comes to mind. That was one of my favorite ones for that. The film actually looks really good for being low budget. Now, I would like to say that the majority of my complaints in this film are going to be clearly due to budget restrictions. So I will point a decent amount of them out, but I mean, I understand why they are the way they are. Adding on to that for my negatives really quick, the movie does look great during the daytime, because they could utilize the natural lights, and lighting indoors is much easier during the day, and the night shots just don't look very good. They're too dark. They have no real lighting. You can tell that they just had almost very, very little budget, and what little budget they had, they used in different areas than lighting, clearly. So I liked in addition to the opening scene, they also have the infection spreading kind of in the background. Characters aren't really noticing it. It's very subtle. I thought that was done well. Something that surprised me in this film was the drama. It actually works for the most part. There's a couple little things here and there that are off, but I thought the drama, where it is, worked, and that was surprising. I thought the acting was pretty much all good. I don't really have many character standouts that were like, oh my god, this guy's awful. I thought the acting was pretty good. I think the standout of the film was the clown, the character who plays the clown, or the guy who plays the clown, the character. I think his performance was solid. I genuinely enjoyed every time he was on screen. I thought he was funny. It just worked for me. So that was definitely the standout character. And I liked the way the zombies were. Getting to why this is so different is because the zombies are basically, if you want to even call them zombies, I mean, we'll just call this infected. I think that's the way to go about this. The infected are completely coherent, and they are aware of their actions, and they just are very aggressive and find it to be almost comical that they're doing it. So they're just them amplified and dicks. So they're basically just drunk. They're not acting drunk though, but that's just basically how drunk people are to me. They have their personalities magnified, and they turn into assholes for the most part. Some turn into fun, a lot turn into assholes. I like the ensemble, the entire cast. I like how well they all played off of each other. There was a lot of individuality between characters. to differentiate. And there wasn't a lot of archetypes or stereotypical kind of characters that they throw into most low budget horror movies. You know, you could go through it and be like, oh, this is the jock and this is the hot slut or whatever. I don't really feel like it's there. I feel like it's got a good enough difference between every character that you can really identify who everyone is, even though there's no name actors in this. A lot of the times when there's a lot of new faces and a decent amount of them kind of look similar-ish, when certain scenes are happening, you're like, wait, who's this again and who are they with? That didn't really happen for me in this film. I felt like everyone did feel, different, so I really appreciated that. A couple things that were really exciting was, number one, surprise kills. People died that in moments I was not expecting them to die in. A lot of the times kills can be very obvious, and this movie has a decent amount of like, oh shit, that person, oh, that went that way, like, oh, that's so that was cool. And then another one that, every zombie movie I ever watch, I want this to happen so badly, and it never does. I saw it recently in World War Z, and I was excited to see it there. And I very, very rarely see it. It never happens in The Walking Dead or any of these other movies. But anyway, they actually, for one scene, armor themselves. They duct tape books and stuff and pillows, and it's like, oh, thank you. One wears like a motorcycle helmet. Ugh, I can't tell you how many times I watch fucking zombie movies and I'm annoyed because of that. I like that the zombies basically stand guard outside all night. Now that kind of does fall into my complaints. They do kind of stand outside, as I said. They were just standing there. And kind of reminded me of Prince of Darkness, where every time they just look outside, they're just standing around the building. But as I said, the downside to that for me is they're totally coherent and they know they're in there and they want to kill them, and they're so angry. Why don't they just all run and break into the house, and this movie would be 10 seconds long? And there's your answer, because the movie would be 10 seconds long. Now, getting into the negatives, and as I said, this is mostly budget, but I will say them. The kills are pretty vicious in the sense that there's just repetitive beatings. A lot of the kills are just people with baseball bats or with golf clubs or whatever, and they're just beating them mercilessly for 5 fucking minutes, it feels like. I mean, it goes on for a long, long time, like that Negan scene in Walking Dead. But all the gore is off screen. I mean, there's almost zero gore in this film, which was a huge downside. I mean, I get it, you don't have the budget for it, but damn, man, if this had gore, it would be so much better. So that's bad. And the blood, there's a decent amount of blood, of course, but the blood is awful. It looks horrendous. It's orangey. It's just not good. It really takes you out of the moment. The movie really slows down in the second act. The first act is good. It's got a good flow to it. It introduces the characters well. It feels like the dialogue's pretty tight. I feel like the characters interact well with each other, and it keeps moving along at a pace that keeps you fully interested, wants to know what happens, and when the outbreak happens and people start dying, you care, and things are fun. And then it's just in the middle, it just drags, around the 40-minute part, it drags for 20 or 30 full minutes. There's this scene where they need to go get food from the next store, and then they risk their lives to go out and come back, and then go back to get something else and come back, and it's dragged on for so long, and it's trying to create tension, and it doesn't. And there's another scene where another person risks their life to empty a toilet because the water isn't working anymore. And it's just really, would you walk out when there's zombies sitting right outside? It's just so silly. Another gripe I kind of had in this movie was the editing. The editing is fine during the majority of the scenes, but where it really is jarring is in the action sequences. I feel like it's just edited together so haphazardly. I get that they're trying to go for that frantic feel. You got a lot of that kind of editing today in action movies and whatnot, and you just quick cuts, 2 seconds, this and this, but you can't tell what the fuck is going on. And in this case, it really is that way, and that's because nothing is going on. They don't have the budget for anything to be going on, so they're trying to make it frantic so that it feels like something's going on when it isn't. So it just kind of took me out of it for the moment. And another minor, tiny little gripe. This is silly, but they're at a baby shower and there are other kids there, and you almost never see the children in the movie. I mean, a lot of people hate kids in movies, and they'll probably be like, yeah, good, they're not in the fucking movie. But as a little bit of a plot device, I feel like they're wanting to protect the kids, but I guess they're just keeping them locked in a safe room, so maybe it does make sense. But you almost never see the children until the end of the film. You almost forget they're even there until the very end of the movie when they pull them back out, and you're like, oh yeah, there's kids there. You just completely forget about them. Now, I guess the question I would ask myself on this is, getting this in a blind box like from Horrorpack, is it something that I would have bought on my own otherwise? Maybe. I mean, I enjoyed it a decent amount. I don't know what I'd pay for it, but if it was cheap enough, I'd probably pick it up. Am I glad I own it? Yeah, I think so. I mean, as I said, it was a fun time. I would recommend it in the sense of like, if the things I said sound cool to you, then check it out. It's not a go-to recommendation of any sort, but I thought that the uniqueness of the zombies and a lot of the ways they utilized the budget, as I think I griped on a lot of the things for the budget, but I don't know if I praised enough of the spots where the budget was utilized well. I think, as I said, the movie looked very good during the day shots. The acting was good all around. Drama worked. So that's a lot of things that most low budget like this, I'm talking micro budget here. I can guarantee you this movie did not cost $50,000. It probably cost less than that by a long shot. So usually in movies like that, there is some terrible acting, some terrible camera work, some terrible lighting, just list goes on, and a lot of that stuff isn't affected here. So I will give credit where credit's due. This definitely deserves some recognition and attention. I hope some people check it out. If they dig zombie movies, want to see something different, and don't mind low budget features, this one's worth a shot.